Beware.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Viewer Beware. This is the series where I break down each episode of the Goosebumps TV series. My name is Garrett, and our episode tonight is The Girl Who Cried Monster. It's your classic boy who cried wolf situation, but with a goosebumpy twist. Let's get into it. Why do they still call it The Boy Who Cried Wolf? When's the last time a single wolf has done any kind of damage to a civilized area? If you're just sitting in town, like on a park bench, and a kid runs up to you saying wolf, are you just like, is it in the library? Where is this wolf at? We're in a metropolitan area. Roll it. Welp. Scholastic giveth and Scholastic taketh away. It seems like no matter what I do to try and put these videos up with clips on them, Scholastic wants to block them all around. But due to my love of the series and my love of Goosebumps and my wanting to share it with you, I'm going to continue. I'm going to bullhead rush my way through this. I'm going to crack open another Rolling Rock. So strap in, get prepared, because I'm going to tell you the story of The Girl Who Cried Monster. So we start with our protagonist Lucy, right? She likes to tell monster stories to her little brother, who is incredibly stupid. He kicks a ball into the grass and then she says, hey, there's a toe biter in there. What? That's just off the top. She comes up with toe biter. But anyway, she says there's a toe biter in there, watch. So she puts her foot in there and starts screaming, and he's like, oh shit, it's going down. Then he runs to the parents, and mom tells the sister to stop doing this because apparently it's a common event in the household. And then it jump cuts to her at Reading Rangers at the library, which I think is like a Canadian thing that I'm not aware of here in the US. But Reading Rangers, she just picks a book and reads it, and then that's it. I think that's the whole premise of it. She says it would have been better if the horse was a monster, which is a little strange because I don't know how Black Beauty would be improved with a monster horse. But then she goes back, meets up with her friend, grabs the book Frankenstein, says, I'm going to read this because it has a monster in it. And then her friend says, I'm going to see if I can put the voice clip right here.
Wouldn't it be cool if they were real monsters?
There you go. But anyway, the kids start walking home. And then Lucy's like, oh, I forgot my blades at the library. This was back in the 90s when rollerblading was a lot bigger than it is now. I mean, it still might happen. I've not seen a rollerblade in a decade at least, maybe two. She runs back, goes in the library where she sees that the creepy librarian has a bug collection. He's easily like in his 40s or 50s. He's obviously single, so I mean this isn't the weirdest behavior for that kind of person, but he starts grabbing crickets, like handfuls of crickets. He's just palming these crickets and just out of nowhere just starts chomping on them. He's munching these crickets down. That's weird, first off. But then like his eyes like turn to slug eyes and they pop out of his head, and then he starts like flicking his tongue around and screaming. You know, as far as monsters go, he's on the tamer side. I mean, so far all he's done is keep to himself, eat bugs, and promote literature. So, but Lucy's freaked out by this, so she runs back home, tells her mom, says, monster. That's where the title comes in. Girl Who Cried Monster. Mom thinks it's another one of her jokes on her brother. Her brother, still stupid. So then Lucy tries to take it upon herself to prove the monster's existence. So she grabs an old Kodak click, like a rolly clicky camera, you know what I'm talking about? Rushes out to the library where she has this really intense face-to-face conversation with the monster guy, where it's like a Basic Instinct kind of police thriller where like, you know I'm a killer, but I know you know I'm a killer, but I'm not going to tell you that. But it's the same, it's just, he's a monster, and she knows it, he knows she knows it, and he uses the line, everybody has a little monster in them, which that's a red flag no matter where you're at. If you're at a bar, some guy slides up to you and says, hey, You want a little monster in you? Red flag, because you're gonna get assaulted in some way. Anyway, and then she pops up with the camera and then clicks a picture and the flash goes off and he's immediately like, oh shit, Lucy, I know you're here. So he chases her down and he corners her, like immediately. She's really bad at running away, but when he corners her, all he does is like do, arr, and then she just runs between his legs and runs away, and then he's like, oh no, I'm defeated. Again, he's a shitty monster. Anyway, she runs all the way back home, talks to her friend on the phone, and her friend's like, hey, he saw who you were and he knows your address because of your library card. He's probably on the way over there. First off, this middle-aged man following a 12-year-old girl home is monstrous in an entirely different reason from what we know. If somebody else were to see that, then, you know, the cops would be involved, obviously. And then her parents pull up. They were out shopping or some shit, I don't know. Her parents pull up, right? And then she runs out to him and says, hey, the librarian followed me home. And her parents are like, he followed you home? Why would he do that? These parents are extremely lax, but I guess the 90s were an entirely different time, especially 90s in Canada, where the librarian would routinely follow kids home, I guess. I don't know. So then she begs her parents to go get the pictures developed, where she goes out to like a Kodak film stand and gets them developed instantly, somehow. I remember when I had to do that, it took like days for them to actually get around to doing it, because that was the most inefficient way to take pictures ever. Now you can just do it on your phone and, you know, fuck film rolls and shit. But off topic again. She runs out of the store, she runs into the librarian on the street in front of her parents, and her parents are like, hey, I heard you followed our daughter home. You want to come over for dinner? Wrong way to handle that. Mr. Monster Man comes to dinner. He's sitting there, he's chilling out, he eats a meatball, and he's like, so, what's for dinner? The parents hit him with the, you are. And then he's like, oh, he's freaking out. He's like, what? And then the parents are like, yeah, we're gonna eat you. And then they turn into like these reptile snake monster things and literally eat this man in front of their children. Like, it's a drawn out scene. It's like a 3-minute scene of them just eating a grown man while their kids sit horrified. After all that's said and done, the parents say, you know, you kids are going to get your training thing soon because you're monsters too. And we can only have one monster in the community, which, if these monsters are cannibals or whatever they are, how did they survive when they said they didn't see another monster for 20 years. How are they eating monsters for sustenance? The kids seem to have known there are monsters the whole time, which backs up my thought that the brother is insanely stupid, because he's terrified of all of these monsters, but he has shown that he is the spawn of the most evil monsters we've seen in the whole series so far, and he knew it, and he, God, the kid's dumb. The kid's so dumb. Lucy's friend comes over and he says, oh man, I'm too late for dinner. And then they're like, oh, we're just about to have dessert. And then the kid's like, well, what's for dessert? And then the parents say, well, you like cherry pie? Parents ate a man and the kids are laughing about it. Everything's back to normal. And that's the end of our story. I'm going to kick it back to my other thing I recorded. And like every episode of Goosebumps, we always have something to take home, something that you learn. And on this one we find out that older siblings are assholes too. We also find out that monsters can only inhabit one space at a time. And you can't have multiple monsters in one city. I guess. I guess if the parents are cannibals, how do they even... It doesn't matter. Let's just roll into the things that give us bumps. This episode we have 0 Canadian stories, 4 jump scares, 1 creepy adult, gratuitous bug eating, gratuitous tarantula, gratuitous puns, 3 monster transformations, 1 teenage rebel, 1 extended escape scene, and of course, a man eaten alive. With all these factors in consideration, I think this is a weaker episode of the series, so we're going to go with a soft 2 out of 5 on the Goosebumps scale. Join me next time when we go over Viewer Beware.